another Silverbird Selection game review, and today I'm looking at one of the more obscure games in Firebird's budget range. This game for some reason doesn't have an entry on Lemon 64, so it's possible you've never seen it before. The game is called Realm and it's a 1987 Silver Range release. I've given this a rarity rating of very rare because I don't see many copies of it on eBay when I do the searches to check out how rare some of these things are. My copy cost me £4, so that may well have been a bit of a bargain given on how obscure it seems to be. So let's take a look at it. Let's begin by looking at the packaging, and as you can see it's the usual Silver Range packaging. Pretty colourful this, and not too bad I would say. It's fairly basic. You've got a picture of a crown, a picture of a spaceship in front of that crown, and also a gate in the background, and the logo Realm is just black text on a yellow background. But overall I think that's quite an effective cover, even though it's fairly simplistic. The spine's got that logo on as well, and you can also see the background image wrapping around a little bit. There's some planets there as well. So on the back we've got the usual couple of screenshots which show it's some kind of maze game by the looks of it. And about the game it says, enter a world of possibilities, problems and puzzles and endeavour to sort out the solar system, which sounds quite a challenge. Inside we've got the usual list of games in the Silver Range, the usual mail order page, and the instructions just on a single page. Realm is copyright 1987 Paul Johnson. From deep inside the Solar Control Center, an ominous rumble signals the demise of the Planetary Orbiting Coordinator. Consequently, the solar system is in a complete mess with planets all over the place. You're required to take charge of the remote control droid XR3, enter the inner coordination sanctum and reconstruct the solar system. That sounds like quite a challenge. It may not be as difficult as that sounds. So then we've got some loading instructions, and then the gameplay instructions. Realm can be played with the following keys. No suggestion that you can play with the joystick there, quite a few key controls there. The object is to explore the maze, overcome obstructions and solve problems in search for the 9 solar planets. Once a planet has been located, it will need to be correctly positioned around the sun. Points are scored by collecting the crowns, opening the doors and solving the game, as you'd expect, and there's a few playing hints there. So there you go, some kind of adventure game by the sounds of it. We'll find out when it loads up. So the game's loaded. Here you can see the title screen, nothing too remarkable about it. It says Realm with an exclamation mark by Paul Johnson and space to start. It's got some crowns across the bottom, some pillars, and it's also got a score which is currently 0. That's the highest score for the game presumably. And that is it. There's no music, nothing else to talk about really, so let's get on and play the game. So as it said in the instructions, this game is keyboard only, there's no joystick. Pressing space to start sort of gave that hint as well. So you move this robot around, which looks like a little white box with a kind of trail coming out of it, using the keys. You can pick up various items in this maze. The aim of the game is to find the planets of the solar system and align them with the sun. We'll get onto what that looks like in due course. So you can pick up objects such as this crown. And these, what I've found through trial and error is that you need to go next to these signs, these road signs, the blue thing there pointing to the right. When you go close to that, it will sort of set off a small explosion. Hopefully you saw that. And that means that something has unlocked somewhere. Basically a bit of the maze has been destroyed, and eventually when you hit enough of those things you'll unlock bits of the maze that you haven't previously been able to get to. So you can also see a gate closed behind me. They do stop you getting from certain areas once you've gone through them. So you can go around the maze and pick up the crowns. You don't have to, they just add to your score. You pick those up automatically. There are some objects that need to be picked up where you have to press a key to do so, and that key is the letter P to pick stuff up. There is an inventory sort of screen or a status screen which you access by pressing space. That shows the score on it. It also shows the items that are in the inventory, which I don't currently have any of, so it's not showing them. You can collect up to 4 items, and you can also see 2 skull and crossbones. They're actually your lives, so you have got lives in the game. So there we go. I'll move on. That's one of the blocks that was blown up there. You can see there's rows of 2 blue blocks there, and in one place there's just the one. That hitting that sign basically blew that other one up. So I've got to find the other sign that unlocks the second one, and that will give me access to the lower parts of the maze where things actually start to get a bit more interesting. So most of the maze you can just walk into it like I'm doing here, but anywhere where there's skulls and crossbones, which we will get to eventually, they are instant death walls, if you like, so you've got to be a bit more careful manoeuvring around those. Picked up all these crowns, don't really need to at this point, but I have done, because basically I went the wrong way through the maze. So graphically pretty simple, just kind of made up of different graphical blocks, the maze is, hexagons and other things of different colours, nothing too remarkable about that, and the main character sprite is fairly bland as well. So I'm just going to pick my way through the maze here, and eventually we'll find this area here, and this sign here, through trial and error, is the one that's most significant. This one will unlock that other bit of the maze. There's a bit over here that I don't really want to get into at the moment. Basically we'll get to that later hopefully, but there's some areas there which if you go through them you get blocked off and you have to kill yourself off to actually get back to the main part of the maze, so I don't really want to get involved with that at the moment. So you'll also notice there's very little sound. There's a few spot effects when you collect the crowns and unlock things, but otherwise pretty much no instructions. Pretty much no sound to speak of. I don't know what the instructions comment was all about there. So there you go, here's the first sign of these skull and crossbones. Trust me when I say that if you walk into those they do kill you off, but I'm not going to go that way at the moment anyway. I'm going to head down here, because here's the first thing to pick up. That's a pass that then allows me to get through various areas that need a passcode. So I'm going to press P to pick that up, and just to prove that that's now in my inventory I'll press space. There you go, you can see it. So you can press the numbers 1 to 4 to cycle through the things in the inventory. At the moment I've only got the one thing obviously. So this gives me, this game, very serious BBC Micro vibes. The controls to control your character or your robot thing are exactly the key controls that I'm used to using on the Beeb, and yeah, it feels like a BBC Micro game. There's loads of these kind of games on the BBC Micro where you had to navigate through mazes picking things up. One of those, the most famous ones of those probably is Reptom, but also games like Raven Skull, Bone Cruncher, Exor or Zor it might have been pronounced as. All those sort of games very prevalent on the BBC Micro, and definitely had this same vibe of sort of navigating around a maze and unlocking things and finding objects and stuff like that. So have I been here already? No, there we go. So it said in the instructions that you need this wire for something later on. It says a battery and wire will help with electrical problems, so I'm just going to pick that up for now, and we'll probably make use of that later if I get far enough through the game. We shall see. So I'm going to try and make my way out now. No, I'm getting lost in this very samey looking maze. It must be this way, I guess. Is it? Nope, that sent me the wrong way as well. So is it round here? Nope, it's not there either. I'll find my way out eventually. Nope, it's not that way either. Oh, I'm lost. I'm lost in the maze already. I'll try and find my way out of the maze. There we go, it must be this way. And then we'll move on to other parts of the maze which might make things a little bit more interesting. Okay, so I've made my way back to this area because here we have a pass area, and this is a secret room if you like. Once you've got the passcode you can enter this room by pressing enter or return as it says on the Commodore keyboard. So to get through this area you've got to get to the other side where it says pass on the left hand side by getting past these little, oh dear, very, oh that sent me right back to the beginning, that's annoying. So very sort of hard to use controls, like hard to be precise with the controls with the keys, which is a bit annoying. So I've lost a life there. You get 3 lives. I'm going to try and do that again and not mess it up this time. So yeah, basically I've got to try and get past these blobs to get to the pass on the other side to get me through the wall. So that's through one half. Oh god, I can't decide when to go. It's really tense this. This is the only sort of stressful bit in the whole game really. There we go, I'm through. probably made more of that than I needed to. I just felt like I had to really focus on getting through there. Now, I've materialised on the other side of the wall, but a little strange bug in the game is when you go through one of these pass areas, your robot disappears, but if I press space and then space again to bring him back, there he is. Don't know why I refer to robots as him, but this robot I feel is definitely a he for some reason. So there's oil there. Can I pick that up as well? Yeah, I can pick the oil up. I don't know what I need that for. Was that the other thing that I needed? No, I don't know what I need the oil for, but I guess we'll find out sooner or later. I might end up dropping that again at some point because I've now picked up 3 items. So I've got another pass area immediately here to get through to... I don't really know why I've come through to this bit. I'm maybe better off just going back through that way. Oh, I can't get back through that way. Okay, these pass areas are obviously one-way sort of things, it appears. So I'm going to have to go through this way to get out of that area. But I don't really know why I went in there because there wasn't anything significant in there apart from, I suppose, that oil, which I don't know what I need it for. So anyway, let's move on. So I've got to go through another pass area. This one's a little bit more convoluted, but actually you just move along and go down here and then along here, and I'm out the other side. That's got me back into, well, who knows, because once again my player thing's vanished. There you can see actually on just to the left of where I am, that's one of the planets that we've got to collect. I think that's got an M on it, so presumably that means Mars, or Mercury possibly, I don't know. I think that's an M. It's a bit hard to make out, it's a bit on the blurry side. Anyway, so let's move on, and I think now this is the part where you go to this end of the maze at the far end. No, I've gone the wrong way again. You'd think I know my way through this maze by now, but I'm still struggling. So yeah, if I remember correctly, hopefully I get this right, because there are numerous places where you can get yourself locked into various areas and then you end up having to kill yourself to get out of them. And I'll demonstrate that to some extent here. As you can see now, that gate's closed, so I can't get back the way I went. But if I go to this side, something's unlocked there, and actually, again through trial and error, in fact you can probably see it, no you can't at the moment, but there's actually a gap here that's opened a door there that you can't actually tell is there. Now again, if I try and go this way, this gate locks, and but then if I do this here, then again there's another gate open there, so you can actually see that now. But if I try and go this way, another gate closes, and there you go. If I'd gone into that top bit right from the start, I'd be stuck there because there's no way to open a door out of that. So that's pretty poor game design. I'm not really a fan of that. Oh, interestingly, after saying all that, I am stuck in this area now, so that's really infuriating, especially as I don't really know which bit I was supposed to go to if it wasn't this bit. So I'm going to have to kill myself off, and that puts me down to 1 life, which is a bit annoying because there's definitely the chance of me running into one of those skull and crossbones things at some point. So somewhere I've opened myself up a door to get through, and I don't know where that is at the moment. I'm actually on the second playthrough of the game now because trying to work out what I'd done wrong the first time, I lost my last life going through one of those pass rooms. So I've managed to find down in the area where I went to with all the blue sections, another one of these blue signs that's opened up this area here to the right, so I can now go through that safely and not get locked in like I did before, if I go the right direction. So again, may as well get these now I'm here. But now I can get into this area here, and you can see there's loads of these skull and crossbones here, so there's lots of very careful picking your way through these bits of the maze to make sure you don't hit any of these skull and crossbones. I feel like that's a bit too much to have to do, given that there's all these other things to navigate, like these rooms and things like that. So it just seems a little bit over the top to make you have these walls that just kill you if you walk into them, so you have to be very carefully negotiating them. Here's the first of the planets though I can pick up, so that has got an E next to it. I'm assuming that's Earth. Bit of a shame they couldn't do them in different colours to sort of more obviously denote which planet it was, like they could have done Mars red for example. But anyway, there you go, that's Earth I presume, so I'll pick that up. That means my inventory is now full, so if I find anything else I'm going to have to make a decision about what I get rid of. So there's a couple of different ways I can go here. I'm just going to go to the left for now to avoid going through that pass room. Very carefully negotiate my way through these skull and crossbone bits of the maze. As you can see, another planet there with a P on it, so that's Pluto presumably. I'm trying to remember all the planet names as I go through this, because I'm pretty sure I'm going to forget at least one. So yeah, I don't know whether these things are killer things or not, so I'm not going to touch those. Very slowly navigate through the maze. It's not a terrible game. It's got the sort of, well, that's a dead end there. It's got the exploration factor to it, which is always a good thing in games. You've got the sort of progression through as you unlock more of the maze and stuff like that, but there's not really a lot going on. It's a bit on the dull side, to be honest. It's not an amazing game by any means, but I would like to try and at least progress to make some kind of, well, progress, I suppose. So let's see how we get on. I'll carry on carefully picking my way through this maze, see where I end up. That is a dead end I've ended up at there, so that's not a lot of fun. Interestingly, there's a pass area there as well, which would just put you back into this spot, so that's one that there's pretty much no point using. I'm assuming I can't enter it from this side, and I assume correctly. So I've got to make my way all the way back now and see what else I can find by navigating through the maze a different way. So it looks like my only way of making any progress now is to go through another one of these pass rooms, so let's see what happens. Oh, this looks somewhat challenging. Is there a gap there? There's a gap in the middle of those four, so I've got to get past the first two and then across to the left and then past the second two. This is going to take some timing. You've got to wait until both of them are sort of aligned and pushing in the same direction. And there is a point where that happens. There we go, I got through the first two. See if we can do it again on the second two. Oh, this makes my head hurt. There we go, made it. I'm relieved at that, because if you die you get sent right back to the beginning. So there's my inventory at the moment. You can see I've got 4 items. I've still got 2 lives left. I only got 700 points for all this effort so far, so that's not great. So that's unlocked something else by walking into that blue sign there. I'll carry on navigating around, see what I can see. Okay, there's loads of crowns here, and of course loads of skulls and crossbones, because they like to throw those in to try and kill you off. Just seems unnecessary to do that when there's enough other things in the game to kill you off. Obviously there's no enemies. I think that would probably make it a bit more of a enjoyable game, as if you could shoot and there were some enemies to dispatch now and then, even if they're just things moving backwards and forwards like the stuff in these pass rooms. Speaking of which, I've got to go through another one of these by the looks of it, unless I go back the way I came, which I probably can't do because they seem to be one way. So let's see what this brings out. Oh, this is the thing I was talking about earlier, so this is going to bring me back out in that maze of skulls and crossbones. Let's see what happens. Oh wow, okay, so here's a really challenging one because there's no gap here, so I've got to go down, left and down, and somehow manage to avoid all these things. I do not fancy my chances here, but let's give it a shot. Oh, I guess I did it. I was a bit desperate, but it looks like I made it through. So now all I've got to do is get my way back out of here, and somewhere I will have unlocked another door which gives me access. Oh, crashed into the skull and crossbones, which, as I said, sends you right back to the beginning. Actually in this case I'm probably not going to play for much longer anyway, so I don't mind too much, but somewhere I've unlocked another gate, or broken down another wall, so just see where that gives me access to. It could be anywhere. And it could be somewhere through where I've already been through as well, so it's going to be a bit of wandering around to try and work that out now, which you probably don't really need to see on the camera. I said camera then, I'm not using a camera anymore, am I? But you know what I mean, on the video. So I found where the gaps opened, and it was back through this maze of skulls and crossbones, and I've just unlocked another block somewhere now as well, but I'm going to carry on along here. This bit's perfectly safe to navigate through, but then there's another big batch of death walls along there as well. But what have we got here? Oh no, I crashed into the skull and crossbones again. Oh, that's really irritating. I totally forgot. I just absent-mindedly was walking through the maze there, and so I'm now down to my last life, which is a bit of a shame because I've not really made a lot of progress with the one I just accidentally expended. So yeah, as I said before, it just seems a bit unnecessary to make you have to really sort of tiptoe or tip tap on the keyboard your way through the maze. Although I will say that I can see why it's keyboard only, because at least you've got that sort of discrete pressing one key at a time to move one block at a time effect with the keyboard rather than you would with the joystick. So that's probably a good thing. I just need to be really careful when I'm manoeuvring through this maze, just where the death walls are. So let's try and go around here again. Actually, yeah, what I did notice when I was over there before I died was there's a battery there, and it did say something about getting the battery to help you with the electrical stuff. You needed the battery and the wire. So with that in mind, probably need to drop a couple of things. So what I'm going to do, this area looks like a good spot to drop something because there's a bit of space there. So I'm going to go into the inventory. I'm going to choose the oil. Pretty sure I don't need that at the moment. I don't know what I need it for. Back to here, and I think it's E to drop an item. No, it's D. Of course it's D. D does something else. Sorry, E does something else. Okay, so that's going to allow me to pick up the battery. There's also Pluto down there, but I'll leave that there for the time being. So let's move back through the maze and see what we can do. I did see some electrical sparks earlier. So again, we've got some careful sort of manoeuvring through here. This bit's nice and easy to go through though. There's a couple of those things there. Strangely, neither of those seem to actually set off an explosion anywhere, but I can see the sun below there. So I'm assuming this is where you've got to line everything up. So they've only got the one planet at the moment, which is the Earth, but I may as well drop it in there for the time being. So let's do that. So that's number 4. Back to here, D to drop it. So just leave there. I mean, I'm assuming what you have to do is put Mercury next to the Sun and then moving on all the way over to Pluto at the other end to put them in the order that they would be in the solar system. That's a pure guess because it doesn't clearly explain that in the instructions for the game. So let's just see if I can make any further progress of any interest, but I'm starting to get a bit bored with the game. And more than likely I'm going to end up in an area where I can't get out of, or accidentally walk into a skull and crossbones and end the game. So yeah, there's lots of dead ends in it, which is, you know, not really a lot of fun. Quite a bit of backtracking. It's one of those games where if you did want to persist with it, you'd have to play it, work out what you did wrong, play it again, and so on until eventually you presumably get to the end of the game. So there's another pickup here, which is a hammer. Again, no idea what you need that for. I haven't really found any obvious puzzles to solve as yet. It's all just been the puzzles of actually working your way through the maze. I've already been that way. So I need to find my way out of here and work out where I've now opened yet another door. I'm not going to be too disheartened if I don't make it through this room this time. Oh, that was close. There we go. Still moving on. Hoping to find something interesting. Not really seeing anything interesting at the moment. Have I done this one here? Probably have already, but let's just go. Yeah, I've done that already. Is this new? Probably not again. No. So I guess I'm going through here again. I don't fancy my chances of managing to do this twice in a row, but you never know. Yeah, I've managed to do it again. Amazing. But I've got no idea if I'm going to anywhere new or if I'm just going round in circles at the moment. It's not really... Oh, I've crashed into the skull and crossbones, and to be honest I don't care that much. I think we've seen enough. Bit of a shame not to find anything more with the exploration, but there we go. So that's Realm. As I said, serious BBC Micro vibes from that. Not your typical sort of Commodore 64 game, or not the sort of game I was playing on the Commodore 64. So let's get on with the review scores. So firstly, the packaging, not too bad. I mean, the image on the front cover is not amazing, but it's reasonably nicely presented. Instructions have got some information in, probably not quite enough to get you going in the game properly, but a bit of trial and error certainly helps in that respect. So I'm going to give the packaging a 7 overall. Presentation's pretty bland, I suppose, but it's okay. It's a reasonable title screen. It's got a high score which is recorded, and in-game presentation's quite nice as well. So I'm going to give it a 6 for presentation. Graphics are fairly unremarkable, reasonably nicely drawn, but nothing too exciting. It's all very much repetitive, sort of maze walls and things like that. So I'm going to give the graphics a 5. Sound is virtually non-existent, although the sound effects that there are not too bad. So I'm going to give the sound a 3. No music, which is a serious oversight, I would say, and again another thing that just makes it seem more like a BBC Micro game than a Commodore 64 one. I don't think it was released for the BBC Micro, by the way, but it seems like it should have been. And finally, anyway, playability. Well, it's playable if you like these kind of games. There's obviously plenty of exploration, puzzles to be solved. There's a bit of backtracking required. The walls that kill you are annoying, and also there's these areas you can go into, these little rooms or whatever that you can't get out of, and you have to kill yourself if you go into those. That's annoying as well. So overall, it's fairly playable if you like this kind of thing, but it's not amazing by any means, and it soon got fairly boring. So I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10 for playability. That gives it an overall score of 5.5, so not a great score, but I would say that if you knew what you were getting, it's not that bad a game. It's reasonably well designed, I think, even if it's not particularly exciting. I guess it depends how much you like these exploration based arcade adventures. So I'm going to say for $1.99 you could get your money's worth out of it. So yes, I would say it was worth it just about, as long as you knew what kind of game you were getting. So there you go, that's my review of Realm. Fairly obscure game for the Commodore 64, I would say. Let me know in the comments what you think about it based on my gameplay or your own experiences, and I'll be back with another game review in the near future. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.